I'm a little bit orange here because I am post eye dilation today and wanted to make a update video. So I will find out more in the next few days, but I am going to be getting cataract surgery on the beginning of March on most likely my left eye and possibly my right as well. I'm feeling very nervous about it, but for reasons I'll get into in a second, there's bigger problems in the world than what's going to happen after an eye surgery for me. And but I wanted to talk about it because I think I haven't seen a lot of content when it comes to low vision and kind of the process of learning about and talking through and making a decision on a surgery. And so I wanted to talk about kind of what's going on and what might be needed. So for context, I was born at 26 weeks. I have a base condition called ROP, or retinopathy of prematurity. If you think of your vision like a movie screen, your vision, if you have 20/20 vision, has a full movie screen with a 4K projector. And I'm working with probably a 1080p projector, and 20% of my movie screen is usable, 80% of it is gone. So in short, the base screen that you're projecting onto is in two pieces, one for each eye, and I can't use them together. So I actually have to pick which eye I'm going to look at. So I can look at, for example, the camera or my phone with my left eye, and then switch and do so with my right, which also means I have to move my head because of where the field in each eye is at. Now, the left and the right eye are different in that my right eye, I jokingly call my signature eye because it's basically all it's good for. So I can tilt over, look at something. My wife has said that it looks like a goose or a chicken because they have the eyes on the sides of their head, so they have to whip their heads over. So that's my right eye. My left eye is my more usable eye. And so it's the eye that I use for navigation and general day-to-day vision. So with that in mind, the retina is messed up. I also have keratoconus, which means the cornea of my eye on both eyes to some degree is, instead of being like a dome shape, it's sort of triangular. So it's actually bent more outward than it should be. And that's true in both eyes, but I believe that particular situation is more intensive or worse in my right eye than my left. And then, as we continue, I have glaucoma. So that's basically increased pressure in your eye. I should have said this at the beginning. If you don't like eye stuff, run now. Because I'm so used to it, and for me this is just the way it is. So I don't mean to be speaking in too much detail about it, but this is my primary disability, and it's very much something I'm used to. So anyway, glaucoma in both eyes. I have small holes in both eyes to alleviate that pressure. So if you think about poking a pinhole into a balloon, so it's not going to pop the balloon, but it's going to allow some air to escape. So that the pressure doesn't build in my eyes, and eye pressure levels today were normal. So I have the ROP, so that's the retina. I have the keratoconus, which is the cornea, and then I have the glaucoma. And then I also, just for fun, in case that wasn't enough, I have cataracts as well in both eyes. And the cataract on my left side is much further along and is much more severe than the cataract in my right. And that is why we are going to start, for sure, most likely with the left eye. And that the right eye may go with it. There's a conversation that needs to be had between the cornea specialist and cataract specialist that I saw today, and also the retinal specialist that I saw about 6 weeks ago. So they're going to touch base with one another, and then from there, they'll kind of make some more decisions about, if it makes sense to do both eyes at once or not. There is risk to this surgery, and this is kind of the meat and potatoes of this video, and this is what I wanted to talk about, is when I was growing up, basically the narrative or my understanding about potential surgery was that it was a very risky thing to do, and that essentially I should avoid it unless it's absolutely necessary. technology in my lifetime has come a long way in that, specifically for cataract surgery, the way we do it now, I don't know exactly all the details, but it's a lot less invasive to the back of the eye and the retina than it used to be. There is still risk though. And what's hard is that essentially one of two things is going to happen. Either A, we get the surgery and everything goes great, and I either walk out with like the same vision I have, or maybe a slight improvement in my left eye. I'm not sure. And the second possibility is that some kind of thing goes wrong, or something doesn't work out, and I lose some, most, or potentially all of the vision in my more usable eye. Now, as you may be able to predict, that's not an easy call to make. However, there's a few things kind of leaning into me agreeing to go through with, and I've already signed the consent forms and things, with this surgery. Number one, the future proofing. So the cataract on my left eye is pretty severe in that when they look behind the eye, if you think about the eye and the cataract as a window, the window in front of my left eye, the cataract that's there, is so, covered with like dust and debris because of the growth of that cataract. They can't look behind my eye to really see what's going on with my retina, which is, the main part of my condition. And they did see some detachment in my left side of my retina the last time I went in for an appointment, but they quite literally cannot look anymore at that detachment because the cataract's in the way. And so essentially, to be able to look at it, whether it's now or 5 years from now or whatever, that cataract is going to have to go at some point. And so that's part of it. The second thing is that there's so much going on in the world right now, specifically in my home state of Minnesota. And what I kind of realized today is whether I go blind now or whether I go blind in 10 years, I have a job and a wife and a family, and I have the ability and the resources and the things in my life that I need to have with me to adapt if I need to a loss of vision. Do I want to? No. Am I looking forward to that potential? No. But the reality is that I have what I need now, and I don't know if I will have those things, down the road. And so that's kind of the other factor. And finally, there's, I suppose, the point of consistency is the way that I would put this. And that's to say this. I have been really fortunate in my life to have very, very stable, if slowly deteriorating vision. And it's very, very likely that if this cataract doesn't get worse, the glaucoma would get worse. If the glaucoma doesn't get worse, the keratoconus could get worse. If the keratoconus doesn't get worse, the retina could detach. So at any point, I have kind of a teetering Jenga tower. Sorry, I almost dropped my phone. And I would rather have the control and the ability to make a decision for myself to put a potential plot in motion as far as my vision goes, and be prepared for what may come with that, than to have something happen suddenly that I struggle with. And to be very, very transparent, one of the other things that my wife and I were kind of talking about this afternoon after I had signed the forms and we were talking about surgery is, if, and I don't have a child of my own, but down the road when I want to have a kiddo, I want to know my child for who they are. And I don't want me potentially grieving vision when, let's say I saw my child when they were born and then lost that later. I don't want that to ever come down on my kid because they had nothing to do with it, right? And so I would rather, if I'm going to go blind or if something is to go wrong via a surgery, I would rather it happen before I'm in a position where I, put my potential child in a position where they feel at fault or responsible or in any way connected to that decision, because I want it to be mine. And I really appreciate the fact that I do have what I need around me to make this decision. So How likely is it that something would go wrong is still information I'm waiting to hear. But it's not extraordinarily high, but it's higher for me, given my laundry list of eye conditions, than it is for other people. And so the two doctors that I have met with over the last 6 weeks are going to convene and then get back in touch with me. Last piece of this, as if this wasn't all enough, I am more than likely opting to go under general anesthesia for this surgery because I have what's called nystagmus. If you can see my eyes in these videos on this channel, you will know they bobble around severely, and that is really bad for surgery because if you can't keep your eyes still under, kind of a light anesthetic or something, it leaves too much room for things to not go where they need to go and not be done in the way they need to be done. And so I am leaning very heavily, pending, again, feedback from the two doctors on going under general anesthesia. I've never done it before. There is a very slight risk of just being dead. I don't mean to laugh. Things are so insane in the world that was like a given. And I know some people who have administered anesthesia before and that sort of thing. So I'm not exactly comfortable with it, but I would rather go under general if it means the surgery has a better chance of success than not to. So there's that. But I think one of the most important things that I wanted to share on, that I wanted to document here, is being able to make this decision for myself. Usually my wife actually comes with me to eye appointments, and today she did not. And as hard as it was to be in the room and ask the questions and think and really go through this process with the doctor, to be able to do that for myself is something that not everyone has access to. And if you do, please do it well. Give yourself the time and the space to consider your options. I think I was very against the idea, and I don't want to say I've been talked into it, but the benefits and the risks are things that I have, weighed out to myself and with my wife. And to me, it's worth the potential for things to be better for longer, and or for things to be easier to access in the future should I need more serious medical attention with my eyes, which is certainly a possibility given my conditions. So looks like I'm getting surgery in about 2 months, a little less than that, about 6 weeks or so. And I want to make more videos kind of breaking down different parts of this, but I'm in orange light because my eyes are still dilated. So, but I want to document this. I think one of the reasons that I started this channel, for me, was so that people who are going through or may go through similar situations at some point in your life, that you have access to somebody who's going to tell it like it is, risks, struggles, triumphs, worries, and especially given how hesitant I was to do surgery, which is such a reasonable spot for anybody to be in. I want to document this experience as much as I can. So I hope you guys are well. If you have any specific questions or if there's anything else I can help clarify, I'm happy to do so. And I'm going to have another little more of a lighthearted video going up in just a bit here that I'm going to also film tonight. So hope you guys are well. If you're in Minnesota right now, I'm not going to say too much, but please stay safe. Keep your neighbors and your friends and your family and the people in your community close to you and in your thoughts, and take care of yourself, please. We'll see you soon. Peace.